Hi, I'm Alan McEwan. I'm a director at the Bungalow music venue.
And what were you doing before lockdown?
Before lockdown, we had a really busy schedule of events. We were open 5 days a week. We had a real mix of grassroots music events. We had drama, we had comedy, we had tribute acts, we had professional artists on tour. So it was a very, very vibrant, busy place to be in.
So what was your day-to-day like?
Day to day, you were marketing, you were taking bookings from customers, booking artists. We were organising stock, getting the venue clean and ready for trading, and then running the events in the evenings.
Okay. So what was your social life like before lockdown?
My personal social life was very good because I work in the nighttime economy. You would spend a lot of time either in your own place of work, or you would be looking at your competitors, so going to other places, bars, checking restaurants to see what the local economy was like, to see if there was a hustle and bustle about the place.
And what did you know about COVID before lockdown?
Never really heard much about it until early March. At that point, I don't think it really sank in. We had events on right up until the weekend before lockdown, and the place was just as busy as it would normally be. So the message wasn't really getting through to people about how serious it was, I don't believe.
Okay. So what happened at lockdown, the initial one?
The lockdown during March was, I think a lot of people struggled to comprehend what it was all about. Because the death rates were so low, there was a real split in the camp about, why are we having to stay in because the death rates were so low. We were being told they were going to get much worse, which they did. But I think until that actually happened, people struggled with it a bit initially.
Okay. And your day-to-day in here, how did that change?
Well, we had to close in here, so there was absolutely no activity at all. We had to batten down the hatches, secure our cash and our stock. Our staff had to be obviously told that they weren't needed, so they were sent home. A couple were furloughed, but we also had a couple of staff who were freelancers. So for them it meant there was, their future was looking very vague for them.
And, how did you feel about this whole situation with the lockdown?
I personally felt that initially that, it was probably the right thing to do. I think everybody felt that we wouldn't be doing it as so full on if there wasn't a reason for it. There was probably a split in the camp, as I've said earlier, but I think as the numbers grew, people realised it was the right thing to do.
And how did your social connections change during that period?
Stopped seeing some close friends straight away because of the distance between us. I used to see friends of mine in a place which is about 10 miles away every week. I've now seen them once in the last 8 months. So it's really changed that dimension of my personal life. I've spent more time with people locally where I maybe normally wouldn't have. So in one hand it's been good, in another way it's not so good really.
So now that initial lockdown's over, and now currently we're in a new lockdown or an extended lockdown period, How did things change for you after the initial lockdown proceeding to now?
After the initial lockdown, we traded as a music venue. So for me personally, there was a lot of decisions to make alongside my business partner, Tommy, and I had to make decisions about, with the funds that we had in the bank, do we spend that money on pivoting the business to try and get some money into the till to keep the venue alive? So personally, it was quite an anxious time, and from a business perspective, it was a very challenging time. So the decision we made was to spend the money to become COVID safe. We spent money in developing the venue with the view that the government had supported the reopening, which they did. We opened and we traded unknowingly in a pub environment, so there was a big risk there as to who would come in the door, because being a venue, your customers change on a gig basis. So as customers came through the door to support us as a bar, we got some more confidence back. We got some money back in the till. We felt as if that there was light at the end of the tunnel and we could trade through. Then we were hit with the 10 p.m. curfew, and the 10 p.m. curfew completely killed the pub industry. And for us, again, back to anxious times, we felt we'd spent the money, delivered what the government had asked us to do to become COVID safe, then took it away from us. We then had to make a decision at that point, because we were losing money, to close the doors. So what are you hoping is going to happen in the future? How do you want things to progress? In the future, obviously, we need to make sure that we're safe, that everybody's safe wherever they go. We believe we are a safe environment for people to come. We haven't had any indication from local government of any track and trace back to any venue in this area, hospitality venue. We've all traded very safely and legally. Our customers have commented and felt and how safe they've felt. We therefore feel that, as the numbers decrease again, we should be given the right to retrade again and open the doors safely and legally. We feel that can be done. We feel that certain music performances can happen. We haven't had a chance to prove the concept in Scotland. I think we're the only country in the world. So these factors should be allowed to happen. I think we should be allowed to prove the concept and prove to the local governments and national government that music venues can trade safely, as they have been in England. We should be allowed to open the doors. That will then give me personally and the staff from this business the confidence that their futures will be safe.
And since the initial lockdown, has your social life changed for the better or for the worse? Or?
Social life has become very different. We see less people. You see the people you work with. You don't see many other people than that. Family members occasionally. I certainly don't see many of my friends anymore. I had quite a busy social life because I played in a couple of bands as well as run a music venue. So I was out constantly, rehearsing, playing gigs, being at the venue, going out with my family, meeting my friends. So you know, I could be out 3-4 nights a week easily. Over the last 8-9 months, I would say you'd be lucky if you're out once a week, you know, and that would be to visit a family member or somebody at work, that type of thing.